Well, a Liberal MP has sparked debate over the New South Wales Anti-Corruption Commission, declaring it a kangaroo court that ruins people's lives. Now, that push has reignited talks about the functioning of the Independent Commission Against Corruption and whether it should be abolished. Well, joining me now is fellow at the Institute of Public Affairs, Morgan Begg. Welcome, Morgan. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Cory.
Now, Jason Falinski, the Liberal MP, has said this is a kangaroo court. It should be abolished because it cannot be reformed. You've had a lot to say in the federal arena about perhaps a commission of inquiry. What's your take on how the ICAC conducts its business in New South Wales and maybe around the rest of Australia?
I think Mr Falinski has hit the nail on the head. I think what we're seeing again is another political career in New South Wales being destroyed by an unaccountable agency which plays by its own rules, which ignores the rule of law and destroys reputations wherever it goes. We've seen that in the past, this has come up again and again, going back to 1992 when the Supreme Court of New South Wales found its investigation of Nick Greiner was unlawful. More recently, it was the resignation of Barry O'Farrell over the matter of the receipt of a bottle of wine. It was the excessive and unlawful investigation and campaign against former Crown prosecutor Margaret Cain, and presently we're seeing the reputation of Gladys Berejiklian being brought down before us.
But Morgan, don't you think if you look at some of those cases that ICAC has actually fleshed out some things that should have been fleshed out, such as the Berejiklian scandal that's coming out now? Don't you think the public had a right to know that she was actually involved with a person who's the disgraced MP and maybe was aware of some of the dodgy deals that went on? Isn't that important in the public domain?
Absolutely, and the public definitely has a right to know. The sad thing is that for nearly 1,000 years, the common law world has developed these institutions which perform these roles. The Parliament over the centuries has developed the procedures and traditions in which the scrutiny of its members can take place. The intense partisanship of parliaments means that members, crossbenchers, opposition members can scrutinise and probe aggressively the government of the day. And sadly, what we're seeing in New South Wales and other jurisdictions is that this role has been outsourced. It's been delegated to agencies outside of the Parliament, and these agencies which are outside of the Parliament are not accountable to the Parliament. They're not accountable to the voters. They play by their own rules. They ignore the rule of law, and they violate the legal rights of any person which is caught up in their orbit.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point you make. Our adversarial system of government, where the opposition is holding the government to account, and the free press, of course, is meant to hold them both to account, seems to have given way to what is now a verb. I'm going to ICAC you, or I'm going to report you to some agency, as a convenient way of smearing your opponents and allowing someone else to do the hard work. But there are calls at the federal level, and I know you've had a lot to say about this, for a commission or a commission of inquiry to probe allegations of corruption federally. Do you think that there is any value in that?
Well, I think the value is outweighed by the costs or the potential costs, and these costs are the same costs that we've experienced at a state level, especially in New South Wales. These anti-corruption agencies, anti-corruption bodies, they play by their own rules. They see their mission as being so important that they don't need to play by the rules that maybe are set to them by legislation or by tradition of common law. So replicating those institutions, replicating those errors at a federal level would have very, very drastic consequences for the rule of law and for the legal rights at a national level, not just a state level.
Yeah, that's right. These things can always be weaponised. Morgan Begg, thanks so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Cory.